This is Robert Littal with BSO Entertainment here with Everett Osborne, the star of the new movie Sweetwater. This is a movie that you're definitely going to want to see. It's going to open your eyes about some things about the NBA that you might not have known about. Everett, thank you for taking out the time. And please let us know, how did you get involved with the project?
Robert, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Well, honestly, as the actor, you sometimes get the audition, sometimes you get called in, right? I just got the audition, and when I got home and saw on the script that it said the first African-American to sign an NBA contract, it opened my eyes up, man. So just dove straight in and just kind of what you said, things you didn't know about. I mean, I'm a former athlete. Right? I played basketball. So to see that there was a story about the game of basketball I love, I knew nothing about this man, this trailblazer who opened up the door for not just African-Americans, but all people. This is a world history story because Sweetwater changed the way the game was played for everyone, bringing his style and flair to the game, just inspired not just him, his teammates, but other teammates and people across the globe. That wasn't just his skin color. So, I mean, the game of basketball is definitely standing on his shoulders. It's an honor, and I'm grateful that we had such a great cast, and Martin Gigi, and director and writer of this, ushered this in. For the last 28 years, he's had this script. So it's a story that's been waiting to be told. It's been cooking, and it's ready.
It's interesting because we hear about other trendsetters in regards to being the first African-American or Black athlete in the sport. Obviously, Jackie Robinson is the one that's most talked about. A lot of you hear it with football as well, even college football and different other sports as well. But you never really heard the story of the NBA. And we do know that, African-American ball players, I think people start thinking around the time of the Bill Russells and things of that nature. How much research, once you found out about this character, Sweetwater, that you do on him, and why do you think is the reason that he's kind of went under the radar for what he did for these players that are playing now in the NBA?
You said a lot of great facts right there I could talk about, man. But one of them, I mean, I'm stepping into a real human being, right? So I have to do as much research as I can. So I was just a maniac about as much things I could find and grab. I mean, the script supported me so well because Martin Gigi did so much information and research. So I was supported from that way. But it's my job to go deeper. So I found out so much, man. And to answer your question, Robert, the reason why is because during that time, the MLB, it's American sports, already a big sport. People didn't know about the NBA. It was the BAA, then became the NBA, right? So the NBA was in its early starting stages. You got to think, the Harlem Globetrotters would play a game. They were the world of basketball, right? They would play a game, pack out an arena. The NBA would come in right after them to try to play and keep those fans, just to try to get leverage and get an understanding and get publicity. So when you're starting off, man, and you're just trying to build and build and build, you start building on top of people's shoulders, and they kind of end up on the ground and you know nothing about them. Then, like you said, these Bill Russells, these other guys that come after, they're able to have some shoulders to stand on because it was groundwork laid. So during that time, man, Sweetwater is one of the many that went unnoticed. But he's definitely the trailblazer. And like all things, man, truth always rises to the top, right? So this is the time now that no time can stop truth, right, from being relevant. So it's always relevant to tell the truth. And now, April 14th, we get to see what's going on, right? So.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters is because, like you said, they were more famous than the NBA teams back, and probably was making more money than some of the players back then. Do you feel, like you said, you really got into the character and really researched how, kind of watching the movie too, I kind of felt this. Did he see this as a big, risk? I mean, it was comfortable with the Harlem Globetrotters, and there was some risk factors in making this jump to the NBA. What do you think his feelings were as far as like, I want to do this, I want to be the first one to do this, why he wanted to make that move?
I don't, that's the looming question, if he knew that he wanted that to happen. I think Sweetwater, you're talking about a man that fought in the Army, right? He fought, he's had a rich life. So he understood the meaning of purpose and the love for humanity. So he always had a deeper reverence for that, right? So I think he was always searching that higher purpose within him. And through that, he was not receiving any boundaries that people was putting in front of him. So I think within that, he was finding himself on the journey, which is where the real juice of life is anyway. It's never about, I want to be the first, right? It's never about, I want to get this. It's always about what's happening on our way to that. What's happening inside of us? And I think that was discovered as he was going, because you got to think the NBA now wasn't the NBA then. He's not, oh, I'm about to get $100 million contract and a shooting from Converse. He's not thinking that. You see what I'm saying? But he's thinking like there is opportunity. There is a sport that's revered on this higher level. I want to get to that higher level. You see what I'm saying? He was always seeking after the war, how can I play at the highest level? Harlem Renaissance. Then he goes to Harlem Globetrotters. So he's always had that in his mind, man. So I think that was the biggest thing. And when you leave something that you're used to, you leave your boys, even though y'all been sleeping on the bus with the Harlem Globetrotters, not making a lot of money, you're leaving your people, right, to a space of the unknown. So yeah, it's a blessing. Yeah, it's a gift, but it's still unknown and you don't know what to expect. And I think Sweetwater, being the trailblazer that he is fearless about approaching the unknown, pushing boundaries, even within himself. So I think he had an array of emotions, and he's probably just absorbing that journey, staying present in the moment. I don't know if he knew how big of an impact it was going to be, right? You never know. Right? You never try to make the impact. You just try to do your best with what you have, and I think he did that.
Now, being that it's a basketball movie, Sweetwater was a hell of a player. You know, I don't want that to get lost into it. He had the talent, just like a lot of guys had the talent back then and maybe didn't have the opportunity. You mentioned that, you know, you played as well. How important was it for you to make sure when, you know, you had some basketball scenes that they were as authentic as possible? Because sometimes in movies, you know, like I always say the old Rocky movies, like, yeah, it's not really boxing, but you know, we get it because of the story. Yeah. But how important was it, you know, that looked authentic and that looked good on camera to kind of actually show that, hey, this just wasn't just about a guy getting an opportunity. This was a guy that was really talented, that deserved an opportunity, that was getting it.
Yeah, I mean, to hang my hat on what you just said, man. I mean, Sweetwater was, I would say, the best player in the world, right? If you're a team and you beat the #1 team in the NBA, which is the Lakers at that time, you're that best player on that team. You're the best player in the world. In high school, this man dropped 60+ points. So like you said, he deserved to get there. This isn't off of luck or a hand-me-out. This man earned his rights and had the skill sets like no other. Even Michael Jordan said there's no Michael Jordan without Sweetwater. You see what I'm saying? So for me, as the athlete, as the basketball player that's played pro in my life, that was important. I'm like, okay, these scenes have to be right. And Martin Gigi, I mean, he's a basketball fanatic himself. He played as well. He's great at basketball. So he's the director, the eyes of everything. I mean, we knew we had that together, that type of unspoken bond. Like, okay, these scenes have to be correct. We had real Harlem Globetrotters on our team as well, man. So it's very authentic. We played real pickup games. The camera's just tracking us. You see me do between the legs, real shots, real shots made. There's no double. I had not one double. I'm out there dunking in chucks. You know what I'm saying? So we had real authenticity going on that court, which was, that's what this is all about, right? We talk about the truth. So, I mean, that was big for me, big for the director. And I mean, we had a great cast as well. Kevin Pollak, Richard Dreyfuss, Carrie Elwes, Jeremy Piven. I mean, even those guys that didn't play basketball knew what it meant to be in those positions as a coach, as a GM, as an owner, to bring that truth as well, man. So it was a real authentic environment.